Hi, and welcome to Triangulation Development number 3. Now this development, if you look at the picture, is what many people in our industry refer to as a square to round. Doesn't have to be dead square. Sometimes these are rectangles, but they're used pretty extensively in both the sheet metal fabrication and HVAC fabrication field. It's really just a transition piece from a square or rectangular section into a tubular form section. Okay, so if you look on the drawing, you'll see that we have a plan view and a front view. The plan view, we're going to take the plan lengths from, and then the front view is going to be the true height of the development. So we're going to go up to rectangle and bring that thing on screen. Make sure you hit your F9 key. Okay, so my snap is now on. I'm going to click and then say Shift 2, giving me the @ sign, 3, 3, and then enter. That gives me the square. I come up to the circle and click it. It's already set on the radius, so I'm going to come down into the center. I'm going to left click. I can pull that thing out 2 clicks and it will be 1, or I can just enter 1, enter, and it snaps to size. If you didn't draw the circle with the snap on but turn it on later, what you can do is draw a polyline from corner to corner, then use the midpoint option to attach it to the center where the square is. Now that we've got this, what do we normally do with circles? Well, we divide them. We divide them into 12. We can divide it into more than that. For the purpose of this demonstration, 12 will be sufficient. So I'm now going to grab myself a polyline, do what we do normally is come down to the center and then bring it up to the north point. Come over to the array option, make sure you select polar array. It asks you to select the objects, which will be the line we've just drawn. Left click and right click. It now asks you for the base point, the center point of the array, which is going to be right at the end of that line in the center of the circle. So we left click, and as you all know by now, this thing defaults to 6 items. Well, we want 12, so we can enter I for item, enter, and then 12, enter. And that will give us our 12 divisions. Once you've got your 12 divisions up, we've got virtually everything we're going to need now. So we can click on close array and it will just give us our normal array, and we can put our various lines down through to each. Now if you look at the picture, you'll see that the external lines, the ones on the outside coming up to the point at the top of the circle on each of these corners, is like a mid blue. And the ones in between those, in these little internal segments here, I've got on as magenta. Now if you want to now go and do that, I'm just going to pause this, draw the lines so that we can reduce the length of this video. So hopefully you have a drawing looking something like I have here. I'm curious as to how you drew all these lines. Did you draw them all individually? But you don't have to. Did you join all these lines together? You can probably see if I click on the screen here that mine are all separate. There's no real reason why you would do it one way or the other. I'm just wondering how you did it, because technically we only have to draw one corner with its radial lines going around the quadrant, and then we can mirror it to make 2 and then mirror again to make 4. An alternate way is to use the array command on the polar array, select these 4 lines, find the center of the circle, click on there, set items to 4, and you'll end up with these all around there on all 4 corners, because as I said, this is a symmetrical one. Now if you do the array option, remember to explode so you get all these lines separate. But I'm just going to get rid of the array wheel now, because that is virtually what we need, with the exception of one more line that goes down either side, because we're going to make this as a half pattern. And the reason for that is that if we were to make this as one piece and develop it right out as one piece, by the time we got halfway around doing the bends, the top will have curled up and hit the front of the press. So we wouldn't be able to make it in one piece unless we had a specific type of mid-bar type finger brake, which we don't have. In that case, we could probably do it in one piece, but for the sake of normality, most people do these as half patterns. So I'm going to put the last line from there to the side, and I don't mind keeping that one pink. I think on the drawing I drew it orange, but that signifies the cut point, so we're just going to develop one of these sides. Okay, so the next thing to do, and I'm just going to move this thing up, and I suppose I could just make these orange just to make it all match up. Just waste a bit of time and go up there, pick me a nice orange color, there we go. And that's the same as, or should be roughly the same as your drawing. Next thing is to draw the front view, and that will give us our height. Okay, it's very important. We've got the plan lengths of each one of these folded edges, and then we have the true height of the line that we're going to develop. On this particular one, we have a flat top, so there is only one true height line. Imagine if we had a sloping top. Every single time one of these touched the top of the circle, it would be a different height. So from there, we're going to grab a polyline. I think I'll need to turn my line back to by layer. I'm going to grab my polyline, make sure my F9 key is on. From there, I'm coming down, probably to about there. I'm going to move it across the face, which is directly under this point here, which is my 3-inch point, but it's a 3-inch square. And then I'm going to come up 3 clicks and back ½ inch. So that's 1.5 inches up, 1 inch back, and that's what it shows on the drawing. I can click there, come across to the top, which is 1/2 inch away from it being a rectangle, and click there, and then finish that thing off down the bottom. At this point, so that I can color it correctly, I'd probably explode it. That's so that I can color these ones independently as the blue lines that they will represent. Now the next thing to do is quite a laborious one, so again I'm going to hit the pause, but I'll show you what I'm going to do first. I need to get these lines, so I'm going to turn my F9 key off, and I'm going to project a line directly down from there, from each one of these to the top of that development, the front view. Okay, so I'm just going to go down on each one of these and go to there. So from there down, make sure that they go on dead straight, and down to there. Okay, now at this point you can probably imagine what's going to happen. I'm going to change these ones to dark blue. I'm going to place my other dark blue lines from there to the corner where they go on this development. So there's going to be dark blue there and dark blue to the middle, and these other ones are going to be magenta. So place those lines on, and I'll see you back in a few minutes. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you have something that looks a little like this. You can see that the blue lines are mimicked down the outsides of the shapes on each corner, and then the magenta ones go on the inside. See, each one of these magenta lines go down to the magenta line there. Once you've done that, basically I like to keep things free from clutter. I'm just going to take the construction lines off, and that should be pretty much what you've got on the drawing. Now the very last construction I'm going to do is going to be on the true length graph, which is going to go here to the right hand side. So once again, I'm going to hit my F9 key. I'm going to come over to the polyline. I think I'm going to change this back to bilayer first. So I'm going to do bilayer on the color, and then I'm going to hit the polyline, come from that point. I can just click a few across to the right there. I'm going to click, come down 3 clicks, so I've got the 1.5 inch height, which is the true height. And then I'm just going to move it to the right, something like about 4 inches. I think should be plenty of room. Okay, so I'm just going to click it there. Now, just so that you understand what this actually represents, if you just wait there a second, I'll label it up. Okay, so now you can see which each one represents, both of those axes on the graph. All the plan lengths, which is any circles I develop from this plan view, and then laying it from this point in the corner across this way, it will give me that line between the two, the true height and the plan length will become our true length line. Now the way we do that is, and you can see I've got blue up there right now, so I'm going to draw myself a circle. I'm going to use this top corner just because it's convenient. I'm going to make sure my F9 key goes off so I can definitely get it dead on. I'm going to come down to the end of that point there and measure that line with the radius. Okay, so now I'm going to go and do the same thing with the magenta. I'll need another circle from that point. This time I'm coming down to that one, and as you can see, I'm just going to pan this across a little bit. The blue and the blue, they're both the same length. The same with the magentas, they're on the same arc. So basically we can use that to develop both, which is good. What I am going to do now is to copy these two developed lengths, plan lengths, from their apex point, which is on that corner. It can be any one of the corners they would fit. Can you see that? And I'm going to place it right down here on the axis of the two. Now as I'm on magenta, and just so that it would show you visually what I'm looking at doing, and let me just move this thing up, is making another circle that goes from there to there. Okay, so I could just grab a circle and measure the length of that between the true height and the plan length. Then swap it over to a blue and go from the true height, which will be the same unless there's a slope on that top, to the plan length. And once I've done that, do a circle from there, the length of the line. So now we have our two true lengths developed out. Now as far as the pattern is concerned, we know one thing for sure. This is a 3" by 3" by 3" cube. Therefore, we can put a straight polyline on, and I'm going to change it to a white or bilayer line first. Then I can stick my F9 key back on just for a second, and I'm going to draw it from anywhere really, but I can draw it from there. I'm going to move it in this direction, say 3, hit enter, and I have a 3" line, which I know that base is going to be. What I'll need to do from these points of radius, so those 2 points there or these two, that will be either end of this line. That's where our radial lines of blue and magenta are going to come out from. So I need to copy these two developed true length lines from their center point. Remember, you can get anywhere near these, and that will give you the green center point in the middle there. And click, and then drop them on both ends of that line, because there are blue and magenta lines coming from any one of these corners, which is what this line represents. Now the one thing you'll notice if we work from the inside outward is it's blue to blue. That's an intersection point right there. Okay, so I could, as I am right now, draw the first shape. I'm right here, and I'm just going to turn the F9 key off. I'm going to go up to that apex point between the two blues, and then down from there. I could have done it to make it a little bit more expressive by going from corner to the blue and from corner to the blue. But basically that is the first part of our pattern. Now we can look at the lengths of these things, right? Because they're going to be blue, magenta, magenta, and blue. We know that because that's the way they come around the corner. Blue, magenta, magenta, and blue. What we don't have yet is another little circle which will give us this distance in between any of those two division points. So as it's on white, I'm going to grab a circle, zoom in a little bit, and then draw a circle to measure our radius, just the same way as we did on the radial line to go around the outside of the pattern. Okay. Now what I need to do is I need to step from blue to magenta to magenta to blue, and that will give me up this in both directions. So I'm going to go up one side, then up the other side. That will give me the layout of the pattern. And yeah, it's that easy. All right. So I'm going to copy that circle now from its center point. Right. Okay. Just go to the outside of this if I want. But I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to place it right at the apex. Now from that blue, it goes to magenta. Can you see where that one is now showing an intersection? And then it goes from magenta to magenta, and then up to where it touches the blue. So from this one, we go blue, magenta, magenta, blue. So it's blue, magenta, magenta, blue. We've already got the blue on there. So we go to the center point magenta, the other one from magenta, and then the outside will touch the blue. Right? So now we've used this to measure distances up both sides of this. And basically, if you draw the lines in between, what you're going to end up with is this. From there to, I think I need to turn my F9 key off again. Or do I? There we go. To there, to there. Just let me pan that down a little bit. To there. And that is going to be coming back to the center point, and then I can really just I guess put the other two development lines in there from there to there, and you can see that thing folded out in a threefold pattern, which is exactly what you got from this corner. There's one space, two space, three spaces. It develops up the side quite nicely. We do exactly the same thing on this side, and remember, there's an easy way we can just get it across, and that's mirror it. So I'm just going to grab that, and that's all of the lines we need. Right click, click one central point, another central point, which is right where those two intersect, and you can see we just say enter, and now I've got both sides of the pattern actually on, and they are dead accurate. Okay. The very last thing we need to do is to place another little true length line on there. And the reason for this is quite simple. That line, oh, I've still got it on the pan. That line there is not a flat line. This one is, so we can just take a circle straight off of there and dump it from the corner that way. In other words, from this corner that way. Okay, so I can get one. I know that's 1.5 inches anyway, but I'm going to put it on as a circle. It's this line. This line here we have to develop, all right, because it's sloping down. This is a plan length. Okay, we know it's going down a true height, so we can just basically put it on here, and I'm going to develop that one as a white one. All right, so I'm just going to grab the circle, come on to this point here, pull it across, and now I can use that to measure, can't I? Okay, so now I'm going to copy, because I've just measured the length of this line with its radius, that circle from its center point, come down here, zoom in on that corner, and place it right there. Now I could draw another line there, and I guess I will just for consistency. That's going to be the radius of our last bit of developed line, and I'm just going to draw a circle from there to where that one intersects that bottom plan length, because that is the developed plan length. Okay, now that's that line there which starts at the top, which is right there of our development. Okay, so I can now copy this from its center point. See, if I go anywhere near the edge, it gives me the center, so it gives me it, right? And then I'm just going to zoom in there and place it there, zoom out a little bit, zoom in there, and place it there. So that's our two lengths developed for those two edges. And like I was saying before, it takes one more step, and that is just to transfer the length of that line, which is 1.5 inches, okay, and that will go from these corners out that way, okay. So I'm going to copy that length now, which is truly developed. It's perpendicular, so we can just take it straight off from the end of that line, from the end of that line, and now we can develop the edge of our pattern, which goes from there to the intersection point to the point on the corner. And the same thing would be just the same on the other side. So again, we're going to repeat that, but just to check to make sure we got our development right, and it's always good practice, these have to be 90 degrees because it's a half pattern. That is a 90-degree bend, okay. So we can simply go up here where it says like one of the dimension lines, like linear, aligned, etc. We pick angular, and I'm going to pick the angle between there and there, and as you can see, it's dead on 90, so that we know that we've got our development correct. Now, just to make it a little bit more visible, and I'm not exactly sure how much more visible it will be, but I'm basically just going to do a polyline around where our pattern is. You should be able to see it. It's going to go all the way around there. This is the outside of our pattern, and now we're just going to go across in between these pieces here. Remember, you can always use the like the blend command. We can fit a curve basically, but that is our pattern. That yellow shape is our pattern, and that will give you a half pattern to this square to round. You could burn that out, and where you see the little pieces on the inside, we can crease those. I would, however, suggest you make this a slightly larger pattern, because this is a very small square to round. It fitted nicely on the paper, wouldn't be that fun to fold. Anyway, that's how we do the square to round. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye.